So, meine Lieben, heute ist der dritte Abendsession. Es ist 10 ab 2. Ich bin heute am Abend das Barca-Game schauen, gegen Atletico Madrid. Und Barcelona hat 3-0 gewonnen, aber weil sie im Hinspiel 4-0 verloren haben, haben sie Aggregate 3-4 verloren und sind out vom Cup. Der Schnellste bin ich heimgekommen, habe noch etwas fürs Arbeiten angefangen, habe noch die Leadliste fertig machen und dann sind aber logisch meine Tokens aufgebraucht gewesen. Und jetzt muss ich mal schauen, wie wir weitermachen. Ich habe gecheckt, so holy shit, ich habe so eine harte AI-Advantage. Ich muss hier capitalisieren, den Fakt, dass ich noch nicht mindestens 10k MRR mache und mich auf irgendwelche Kreditkartengeschichten muss fokussieren, wenn es so viel einfacher geht. Legit, free, voll legal das Ganze zu machen und einfach eine Company aufzusetzen und Money in zu machen. Ja. Also, that's that. Jetzt muss ich schauen, wie es weitergeht. Schauen wir mal weiter. Ja, bin jetzt aber gerade die Kopfhörer schaffen. Ich sollte anfangen zu login. Und zwar bei Leviticus 15, bodily discharges. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, give the following instructions to the people of Israel. Any man who has a bodily discharge is ceremonially unclean. This defilement is caused by his discharge, whether the discharge continues or stops. In either case, the man is unclean. Any bed on which the man with the discharge lies and anything on which he sits will be ceremonially unclean. So if you touch the man's bed, you must wash your clothes and bathe yourself in water, and you will remain unclean until evening. If you sit where the man with the discharge has sat, you must wash your clothes and bathe yourself in water, and you will remain unclean until evening. If you touch the man with the discharge, you must wash your clothes and bathe yourself in water, and you will remain unclean until evening. If the man spits on you, you must wash your clothes and bathe yourself in water, and you will remain unclean until evening. Any settled blanket on which the man rides will be ceremonially unclean. Alexa, erinnere mich 10:30 Uhr an Kinoabend organisieren.
Meintest du 10:30 Uhr morgens oder abends?
Morgens.
Okay, ich werde für dich eine Erinnerung erstellen, die um 10:30 Uhr vormittags startet.
Alexa, Lautstärke 1. If you touch anything that was under the man, you will be unclean until evening. You must wash your clothes. You must wash your clothes. You must wash your clothes and bathe yourself in water, and you will remain unclean until evening. If the man touches you without first rinsing his hand, you must wash your clothes and bathe yourself in water, and you will remain unclean until evening. Any clay pot the man touches must be broken, and any wooden utensil he touches must be rinsed with water. When the man with the discharge is healed, he must count off 7 days on the period of purification. He must wash his clothes and bathe himself in fresh water, and he will be ceremonially clean. On the 8th day he must get 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons and come before the Lord at the entrance of the tabernacle and give his offerings to the priest. The priest will offer one bird for a sin offering and another for a burnt offering. Through this process the priest will purify the man before the Lord for his discharge. Whenever a man has an emission of semen, he must bathe his entire body in water, and he will remain ceremonially unclean until the next evening. Any clothing or leather with semen on it must be washed in water, and it will remain unclean until evening. After a man and a woman have sexual intercourse, they must each bathe in water, and they will remain unclean until the next evening. Whenever a woman has her menstrual period, she will be ceremonially unclean for 7 days. Anyone who touches her during that time will be unclean until evening. Anything on which a woman lies or sits during the time of her period will be unclean. If any of you touch her bed, you must wash your clothes and bathe yourself in water, and you will remain unclean until evening. If you touch any object she is set on, you must wash your clothes and bathe yourself in water, and you will remain unclean until evening. This includes her bed or any other object she is set on. You will be unclean until evening if you touch it. If a man has sexual intercourse with her, and her blood touches him, her menstrual impurity will be transmitted to him. He will remain unclean for 7 days, and any bed on which he lies will be unclean. If a woman has a flow of blood for many days that is unrelated to her menstrual period, or if the blood continues beyond the normal period, she is ceremonially unclean. As during her menstrual period, the woman will be unclean as long as the discharge continues. Any bed she lies on or any object she sits on during the time will be unclean, just as during her normal menstrual period. If any of you touch these things, you will be ceremonially unclean. You must wash your clothes and bathe yourself in water, and you will remain unclean until evening. When the woman's bleeding stops, she must count of 7 days. Then she will be ceremonially clean. On the 8th day, she must bring 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons and present them to the priest at the entrance of the tabernacle. The priest will offer one for a sin offering and the other one for a burnt offering. Through this process, the priest will purify her before the Lord for the eternal impurity caused by her bleeding. This is how you will guard the people of Israel from ceremonially uncleanness. Otherwise they would die, for their impurity would defile my tabernacle that stands among them. These are the instructions for dealing with anyone who has a bodily discharge, a man who is unclean because of an emission of semen, or a woman during her menstrual period. It appears to any man or woman who has a bodily discharge, or to a man who has sexual intercourse with a woman who is ceremonially unclean. Leviticus 16, the Day of Atonement. The Lord spoke to Moses after the death of Aaron's 2 sons, who died after they entered the Lord's presence and burned the wrong kind of fire before him. The Lord said to Moses, "Warn your brother Aaron not to enter the most holy place behind the inner curtain whenever he chooses. If he does, he will die, for the ark's cover, the place of atonement, is there, and I myself am present in the cloud above the atonement cover. When Aaron enters the sanctuary area, he must follow these instructions fully. He must bring a young bull for sin offering and a ram for burnt offering. He must put on his linen tunic and the linen undergarments worn next to his body. He must tie the linen sash around his waist and put the linen turban on his head. These are sacred garments, so he must bathe himself in water before he puts them on. Aaron must take from the community of Israel 2 male goats for a sin offering and a ram for burnt offering. Aaron will present his own bull as a sin offering to purify himself and his family, making them right with the Lord. Then he must take the 2 male goats and present them to the Lord at the entrance of the tabernacle. He is to cast sacred lots to determine which goat will be reserved as an offering to the Lord and which one will carry the sins of the people to the wilderness of Azazel. Aaron will then present as a sin offering the goat chosen by the lot for the Lord. The other goat, the scapegoat, chosen by lot, will be sent away, will be kept alive, standing before the Lord. When it is sent away to Azazel in the wilderness, the people will be purified and made right with the Lord. Aaron will present his own bull as a sin offering to purify himself and his family, making them right with the Lord. After he has slaughtered the bull as a sin offering, he will fill an incense burner with burning coals from the altar that stands before the Lord. Then he will take 2 handfuls of fragrant powder, incense, and will carry the burner and the incense behind the inner curtain. There in the Lord's presence he will put the incense of the burning coals, so that a cloud of incense will rise over Ark's cover in the place of atonement that rests on the Ark of the Covenant. If he follows these instructions, he will not die. He must take some of the blood of the bull, dip his finger in it, and sprinkle it on the east side of the atonement cover. He must sprinkle blood 7 times with his finger in front of the atonement cover. Then Aaron must slaughter the first goat as a sin offering for the people and carry its blood behind the inner curtain. There he will sprinkle the goat's blood over the atonement cover and in front of it, just as he did with the bull's blood. Throughout this process he will purify the most holy place, and he will do the same for the entire tabernacle, because of the defiling sin and rebellion of the Israelites. No one else is allowed inside the tabernacle when Aaron enters it for purification ceremony in the holy place. No one may enter until he comes out again after purifying himself, his family, and all the congregation of Israel, making them right with the Lord. Then Aaron will come out to purify the altar that stands before the Lord. He will do this by taking some of the blood from the bull and the goat and putting it on each other on the horns of the altar. Then he must sprinkle the blood with his finger 7 times over the altar. In this way he will cleanse it from Israel's defilement and make it holy. When Aaron has finished purifying the most holy place and the tabernacle and the altar, must present the live goat. He will lay both his hands on the goat's head and confess over it with all wickedness, rebellion, and sin of the people of Israel. In this way he will transfer the people's sins to the head of the goat. Then a man specially chosen for the task will drive the goat into the wilderness. As the goat goes into the wilderness, it will carry all the people's sin upon itself into a desolate land. When Aaron goes back into the tabernacle, he must take off the linen garments he was wearing when he entered the most holy place. He must leave the garments there. He must bathe himself with water in a sacred place on his regular garments and go out to sacrifice a burnt offering for himself and a burnt offering for the people. Throughout this process he will purify himself and the people, making them right with the Lord. He must then burn all the fat of the sin offering on the altar. The man chosen to drive the scapegoat into the wilderness of Atzel must wash his clothes and bathe himself in the water. Then he may return through the camp. The bull and the goat present as a sin offering, whose blood Aaron takes into the most holy place for purification ceremony, will be carried outside the camp. The animal's hides, internal organs, and dung are all to be burned. The man who burns them must wash his clothes and bathe himself in the water before returning to the camp. On the 10th day of the anointed month in early autumn you must deny yourself. On the 10th day of the anointed month in early autumn you must deny yourselves. Sagt 29. This day is an ancient blah 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 occurred in September October, or also must fast. You must deny yourself or must fast. Neither native-born Israelites nor foreigners living among you may do of any kind of work. This is